All right, this is Mr. Wyrick, and I'm going to be going through the 3, 2, 1 notes with you today. So this is the notes for congruent triangles. So we're going to be looking at, what it takes to make congruent triangles, what that means, and how they kind of match up. So I'm looking at slide number 2. It says, what are congruent triangles? And the definition here is whenever triangles are shown as congruent, it means all of the measurements of the triangles are the same, even if we don't know the measurements, okay? So all 3 of the angles between the 2 different ones are going to be congruent to one another, and all 3 of the sides between the 2 triangles are going to be congruent to one another. So this is like, basically you have a stamp, and you stamp that triangle down, and you move it over and stamp it down in another place. It's the exact same. It's just somewhere else, or like rotated slightly or something like that. So take a second, write this down off this slide into your notes. You might want to pause the video to do that. Okay, so looking at the next slide, slide number 3, says corresponding parts. So if angles are named as congruent, they will have angles and sides that correspond to each other. You can identify them by given hash marks, or you can figure out the relationship based on how it's stated. If we look at this diagram that's shown on here, angle A and angle D are shown as congruent. Side AC and side DF between the 2 different triangles should be congruent. Side AB and side DE should be congruent, and side CB and side FE should be congruent. So again, this might be something, pause the video, write this part down in the notes. So on slide number 4, this is kind of what we're going to be looking at today, what you need to do. Find the corresponding angles in the following sets of triangles. It tells us that angle C is congruent to angle F, and we can see that angle B and angle E are also congruent. So that should mean, mathematically, that angle A and angle D are congruent. They match up. On the one that's where it says question number 6, it says side RT is congruent to side LN. So we can see angle T and angle L match up. Angle S and angle M are both 90-degree angles. So that should mean the third one, because of math, should match up. So angle R and angle N should match up with each other. And then on number 7, angle D is congruent to angle H, is told to us. Angle C and angle F are marked as congruent, and angle E and angle G are marked as congruent. When we look on the next slide, it says find the corresponding sides. So when you say the sides, it's very important that you not just say, oh, this side and this side are the same, but you mention the letters going from congruent angle to congruent angle. So on that first one there, number 5, if I go from A to B, I'm going from my bottom angle up to that 90 degrees, and the other one is oriented the same way, so I should say DE is the congruent side, because I want to use the letters in the same order. If I say BC, I want that to be congruent to EF. Again, it matches up. And then if I say AC, I want to say DF. If I say CA, I want to say FD. So you want to make sure that those letters are kind of going in the same direction around the triangle as you refer from one triangle to another. You can see on number 6, it's rotated. So if I go ST, I actually want to go ML for the sides, okay? If I go SR, I want to go from M to N, because I'm going the appropriate way with the angles. And if I say RT, I want to go NL. You can see on number 7, similar kind of thing. We have this flipped. So if we say side CD, we want to say side FH. If we say side DE, we want to say side HG. And if we say side EC, then we want to go GF. Okay, make sure you're going from those congruent angles to those other congruent angles as we go. Then I'm now on slide 6. Take a look at the following triangle. The altitude in the middle has made it into 2 congruent triangles. Name them and the corresponding congruent parts. So if I say TUS for the triangle on the left, I want to say TUV for the triangle on the right. I'm going in the same direction for the congruent parts. So angle S and angle V would be the same. Angle STU and angle VTU would be the same. And angle TUS and TUV would be the same. And then I could name the sides, US and UV, ST and VT, and then TU and TU. It has to be congruent to itself. Okay. Today's assignment is going to look like this. It says CPCTC practice. It has a 3-2-1 on the top of it. I have scanned it into Schoology. So you want to make sure that you label these triangles correctly for numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can skip number 1. We didn't really talk about CPCTC here. On numbers 6, 7, 8, and 9, the order that they put these names in is how you want those angles to go. So WXY and EFG means that W is the same as E, and X is the same as F, and Y is the same as G. So when you go through that, make sure you're doing that. On the back, complete the congruent statement by naming the corresponding angle or side. So it tells you what's corresponding to angle F, and you should be able to tell. On 11, what's the same as side CE, and you should be able to tell. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, you should be able to tell. Even when you get down to like 14, 15, 16, 17, even though you don't have the images anymore, you should be able to look at how it's written and be able to tell what's going on. Okay? When I come back on Monday, we will grade the performance task, the practice performance task. Don't forget about that. And then we will also go over this paper. Good luck and have a great weekend.